So, this one's gonna be about the 4-hour work week by Tim Ferriss, or actually the notes, by a cool website by nataliason.com. Everything's gonna be linked down in the description anyways. But yeah, I'll see you after the intro, as every day. As every single day. This is what I do, this is what I wanna do, actually. And with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And I'm pretty pumped, I'm really pumped to be here just because it is amazing. It is amazing. Every time, every single day, I'm really looking forward to. Some days it's not the case, but most often I'm really looking forward to the recording sessions. But something that actually pops to my mind right now, or into my mind, is that I'm not really able to record the whole entire next week, which is something, as I was laying in bed yesterday because I wanted to sleep, I was like, fuck. It is something that I really do not like to have, because I'm going to be in Amsterdam with my class, and it's going to be a great time, don't get me wrong there, but I do just like to record, I do just like to do what I'm doing here. It is amazing, it is even amazing when I do not know what I should be talking about, which was actually the case for today. Like, I didn't really know what I should be talking about and what I should just be giving to you, on the other hand as well. But yeah, as I said, we are talking about the 4-hour work week by Tim Ferriss, but, if you're not really having the time for going through a 30-minute YouTube video, which is something that I actually assume, something that I quite know, because it is a really long time, like, it really fucking is, then please go down in the description, because there is going to be the link to the podcast, which means that you can just listen to it, you can listen to the whole experience, and you can just consume it by listening to it, which is a way more effective way to just consume this particular episode than to watch it, because when you're listening to it, you can do something simultaneously. You could be doing whatever, like cooking, walking your dog, those examples that I'm always giving. But yeah, so check out the links in the description and or in the show notes if you actually are on the podcast, but you want to watch the YouTube video, because there's also going to be the link to the YouTube channel there. But yeah, so as I said before, or I hope that I have mentioned, this is not going to be really about like a summary and whatnot, but it is merely quote unquote some notes from the as I said, it's going to be down in the description, all the links that you need. And yeah, so these are only notes, and this is definitely not a replacement for reading the book. So please read the book if you want to check it out, or if you want to consume it, or if you want to just get the knowledge or whatnot, just check it out. So I think I'm just going to read, I've actually decided to go through another book summaries, book notes, site or article or whatnot, because it actually gives me the opportunity to spark some thoughts in my brain and in my head, which can lead to pretty great thoughts and pretty great things. But yeah, I'm gonna read. The rating is 9 out of 10, so it is a fairly good rating. High-level thoughts, massively influential in my life, giving me the idea that I could pursue my own entrepreneurial projects to sustain myself immediately after college. Haven't gone back to it in a while, but it still is one of the first books I recommend for someone going down the entrepreneurial path. And I gotta have to say, before I'm even starting to talk about anything that is about entrepreneurship, I'm not an entrepreneur. I really am not. I would more like consider myself an artist. If I would consider myself something, but definitely not an entrepreneur. I guess this is not something that I am, but, and it is actually a good point, because you gotta have to be honest with yourself, only because it is such a trendy thing nowadays to be an entrepreneur, to have your own business and whatnot. It doesn't really mean that you have to do that. It is fine, and it is also amazing if you're able to do that, and if you're able to just sustain your own life and yourself by doing something that you hopefully like to do. But the problem there is that what I'm often seeing, and what I'm often also talking about, especially on Instagram, you're often seeing those posts like, okay, I think it was actually yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I've seen one of these, and it was like, okay, there's a thinker and then there is a doer. And the thinker is going to be an employee in 15 years, and the doer is going to be a fucking entrepreneur in 15 years. And it obviously it obviously just provides such a picture that being an employee is bad and being an employee is shitty, and if you're an employee, then you've just really fucked your life and you're just miserable and whatnot. But it is definitely not the case. If it is about money, which is often the case when you're on social media, unfortunately, then being a CEO, for example, of Apple, as Tim Cook is, and he's fucking earning 15 fucking million a fucking year. Like, it is a lot. Like, it really is a lot. And I don't know if it, of course, it takes some time until you can be the CEO of a company and whatnot, if you're actually able to do that, if you're working in a company, like starting from bottom and then just ending up being the CEO for 2 years or something, this could work. This could totally work, just still depends on your leadership skills and your skills in general. But I don't know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the case that you would even get to this point with your own business, like making 15 million, or actually, it is not even making 15 million, it is actually way more, because to being able to just actually pull out 15 fucking million out of your fucking company for your own salary, you're gonna have to earn quite a lot, I guess, especially also then with taxes and whatnot. So you definitely have to earn and or make a lot of cash there and or a lot of money there. So consider that. You really do not have to be an entrepreneur, especially if it is about money. Of course, if you're having a business and that is doing well and whatnot, then you're probably gonna be able to make more money with your own business than being an employee. Probably. But I would argue that actually earning 15 million or 1 million a year is still enough. Like, what is it? 1 million, 1, 2, 3, 5. Am I dumb? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by 12. Which would be 80 fucking 3K a month. A month. Who the fuck is able to spend that? Unless you actually have to spend a lot on your own security, which seems to be the case for quite a lot of CEOs, to be honest. Seems actually to be the case. Like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, they both, I think they're spending more than just 2 million a year for their own security, which is just really a lot, to be honest. But like, yeah, they gotta have to be safe, I guess. So the notes. We don't necessarily want to be rich. We want the lifestyle that we think comes with being rich. Yeah, and this is definitely the case. We want to have the bitches around. We want to have those fast cars. We want to have the cool watch. We want to have all those things. But I would argue, and I would actually say that if you're then in the position of having all those things, would it be that nice and that's amazing and whatnot? Yeah, of course, it's gonna be cool and so on. But I don't know. I think if you're having these things, then you're going to look forward to some other things, like building your body or building a business just for the sake of building a business and not really for the sake of earning a lot of money. I guess, at least. I'm not in the position, so therefore I'm just assuming. I'm just thinking, but yeah, of course it could be a great lifestyle, but all things get normal, I guess, after some time. The next thing. Most quote-unquote rules can be broken with no consequences and sometimes with massive benefits. So don't assume anything is fixed. Nothing is fixed. Well, quite some things are fixed. And this actually leads me to something else, because if you're seeing that something is not fixed, then of course this is going to be a good business idea, fixing that, because you're probably not the only one that is kind of just fucked that this certain thing is not fixed yet, and then fixing it, I don't know, would be a great idea. And I have to say that it has often been the case, I guess, that everything like a business started with something the founders or the CEOs or whatnot were pissed about. Like, yeah, they wanted to change something and it was something that had to be changed. I guess it was actually the case for PayPal, and actually quite a lot of great companies started with this kind of thought, that there is something that has to be changed and that there is something that we also can change if we want to and if we kind of commit to that certain goal, because we can definitely change a lot of things, at least those people around us, this is something that we all are able to do, which is amazing if you're thinking about it. If it isn't going to devastate those around you, try it and then justify it after. Yeah, Like I have to say, like, it just makes sense, you know. If it is something that really is not hurting somebody really, really, really much and whatnot, then why shouldn't you try it out? You know, then, like, yeah, you know, you can justify it afterwards, as he says. The next one. It's more fun and more effective to leverage and focus on your strengths rather than try to fix every single chink, whatever, in your armor. And this is true as well. This is really, really true. And this is one of the problems that I might be having with the school system and a lot of people, I guess, you know, because often you're hearing like, okay, you know, you gotta have to do this, you gotta have to just be better at that and whatnot. And I always think like, well, no, you know, for example, it is about my spelling. I can't spell for shit. I can't just do it. I think it is actually just some genetic reasons. I guess somebody in my family and whatnot, they have also not been able to spell right and spell correctly and spell in a good way and whatnot. So I'm really having just some problems if you think about it. You know, if you just consider spelling, then of course consider that I'm having some problems, I guess. You know, the funny thing is I do just do a better job in English, I guess, than I do in German, but I'm not quite sure. You know, I do just make some really fucked up mistakes, you know, in both areas, you know, but most often I actually think like that the only reason why I'm actually not such a good speller is that I actually give a shit about it, you know, that I even, like, I'm writing something and then I'm recognizing and seeing that I've spelled it wrong, but I just move on because I don't fucking care. You know, something that I'm doing subconsciously, I guess, you know, and this is then the problem because I'm actually kind of going over everything. And if I'm just making a mistake, then I just give a fuck about it consciously and subconsciously most often. And then I'm just not seeing it. You know, maybe I do just don't care. But the thing is, in school, like, it has it been the case? Has it often been the case? I don't know. But the thing is, if I'm just having some spelling mistakes and whatnot, and some teachers recognize that I might be having some problems with that, it once has been the case that I was told that I should fix that, or maybe should fix it by consulting somebody else, like a friend of mine or my mother and whatnot, so that they can correct that. But yeah, you know, first of all, this is not something that I like to do. Like, I do not really like to go up to people and ask them for some shit, and especially not something like that, to be honest. But I'm also not really looking forward to fixing it myself. You know, I guess, you know, this might be something relatively bad in the future. You know, for example, just being an employee in a company and they recognize that I'm not able to spell shit, especially if you're a graphic designer and if you're having to make some posters and flyers and whatever there might be, then it might be a little bit of a fucked up thing. But I don't know. I even think that maybe fixing that could actually result into something worse, or actually making something worse in another area. You know, maybe I'm able to be really creative through giving a fuck about just some rules like spelling and grammatical mistakes and all those things. Maybe I'm actually way more creative by being able to do that, or by being able to give a fuck about those fucking rules. This could be the case, you know. This is actually something that I've been thinking about, just to be honest, like, here, like. Yeah, you know, let's move on. Let's move on. Look at what you're doing and ask what would happen if you did things differently from everyone around you. Where will your currently track take you in 5, 10, or 20 years? So I'm going to repeat it because I've read it a little bit poorly. Look at what you're doing and ask what would happen if you did things differently from everyone around you. Where will your current track take you in 5, 10, and 20 years? Fortunately, I'm really fortunate in that case. I'm doing a lot of things that a lot of people are not doing. Like working out 5 times a fucking week, eating healthy all the time, at least as, you know, what I consider eating healthy, because, you know, often it is the case that I just come to a conclusion that something that I've been eating quite a lot, like white rice, for example, is actually something that's not that good for me, you know, and then I just stop eating it. The problem is, I should actually tell that pretty much everybody, you know, because then my mother, which is actually a funny thing, I discovered that white rice and everything that is basically white, like pasta and rice and but millet, I guess it is called. It's millet or millet, whatever it is pronounced. I don't fucking know. It's actually a pretty healthy grain. You know, like it is one of the healthiest grains there is, and it is also white. So, well, it is yellowish white. You know, it's not really white, but it is somehow white. But the thing is, everything that is white is not good. You know. Also, on the other hand, I have to say that I've always considered white bread and white rice and everything that is just white being so fucking harmful. But in the end, it is not. I really have to say it is not that harmful, and it is even not that bad because you shouldn't just eat it because it is not just packed with nutrition. You know, as, for example, brown rice is. You know, if you compare brown rice to white rice, then you're gonna see that the brown rice is having way more nutritional benefits to it than the white rice. You know, it's gonna have way more vitamins and way more minerals and way more quite everything. And this is the only reason why you're gonna see that you shouldn't eat white bread, because it's actually empty carbs, as they say, or empty calories, which is just calories without any benefit of vitamins and or minerals and whatnot. You know, this is the only reason. You know, this is the only reason why people tell you that you should not be eating that, and it is merely for the it is merely for just not gaining a lot of weight. This is quite it. You know, because if you're eating a lot of the thing is, in the end, you're consuming something that actually has no benefits to you. You know, it is only calories, and it is only just making you feel filled. And this is then quite it. And yeah, it might be just not such a good thing, but it is really not that bad as a lot of people would say and whatnot. But yeah. But what I actually want to say is that I actually do a lot of things different than a lot of people are doing, and do think that this is actually one of the things that you should be doing. To be really honest, like, you should be doing things that other people are not doing. Because they're just, first of all, there has to be a reason why a lot of people are not doing that. Because let's talk about working out. Like, working out 5 times a week or even more, or even 3 times or 2 times a week is something that a lot of people are not doing. Like, the majority of the people are not doing that. You know? Why? I don't know. I really don't know. And I think that's such an unfortunate thing because, I don't know, health is such a huge factor. You know, such a huge factor in feeling good, and mentally and physically. Mentally as well. And this is the problem there, you know? You gotta have a healthy body to have a healthy mind. You know, something that you probably have heard quite often, but I think it's the truth. And I think that you'll probably kind of notice that when you're, for example, ill, you know, ill, which is just a physical thing, you know, you're going to be ill physically, then you're also not going to feel that good mentally, you know, because you might not be able to do what you actually want to do, or you might not be able to just meet that person, you might not be able to do sport, like those things, you know, it's not going to be a good thing for your mental state. At least it's the case for me, actually. But I don't know, there's always reasons why people don't do certain things that are actually pretty good and things that you should actually be doing. You know, I do not say that you should be working out 7 times a week. You know, this might even be too much, you know, and this might even be harmful for you. But I don't know, just do some sports, just move your body. Your body's there to be moved and not sitting around all fucking day long. Like, nah. But let's move on. When you completely define your fears, you'll be frequently find that they are not nearly as bad as you thought. Rather, the likely bad outcomes would have a small effect on your life, but the good outcomes could massively benefit you. Yeah, and this is also one of the reasons why I think it was even Tim Ferriss. He was talking about kind of balancing it out. In terms of, okay, you're gonna ask yourself, if this particular thing is going wrong, on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad would it then be for your health and for yourself and for the other people around you and whatnot? But if it is going to be good, you know, if it's going to turn out in a good way, on a scale from 1 to 10, how good is it then, or what benefits is it then providing to you? Or, like, you know what I mean? Which means that you might be like, okay, should I work out now or not? Okay, if you're not doing this, it's gonna be like, I don't know, a 5 on just a fucked up scale. But if it's gonna turn out good, well, it is actually a really bad example. Let's talk about business, If this business is gonna fail, then it's maybe gonna be a 5, But if this business is gonna succeed and you make a lot of money and you're gonna be able to just sustain your life and help your kids and help your mother and whatnot, it's gonna be a 10 on happiness and good outcomes and whatever. So consider this then, like it is a 5 against 10. So I don't know, like the 5 is really low actually, and the 10 is really fucking high. If it turns out good, then it is a 10, but if it turns out bad, then it is just a 5, which is something that's there. Of course, it's gonna hurt and whatnot, but it's not gonna be that bad, And this is something you should be considering. The rest of the world is just as insecure as you are, and the whole world is also just giving a fuck about themselves and not really you. The unrealistic. I'm very sorry, by the way. All right. Well, never mind. The unrealistic is frequently easier than the realistic, and there is less competition. Well, yeah, that's actually the truth. Doing something unimportant, well, doesn't make it important. Yeah. Taking a lot of time doesn't make something important, and being busy is a form of laziness or lack of control over one's life. Parkinson's law, a task will swell to fit the time given to it. Yeah, definitely the case, and I've seen it, which is like, okay, if you're having a lot of time for certain tasks, you're also gonna need that time. But if you're not having a lot of time, you're not gonna need just any longer. Maybe you kind of feel like, okay, it would just be nice to have an additional hour or something, but in the end, if you're having this additional hour, like, you would just consume it, The more time you're having, the more you're gonna consume of the time. If you're having 10 hours, you're gonna use those 10 hours by maybe not being actually as efficient as you could be, or by just doing something else, Actually, a good law. I have to remember that. I have to remember that. Ask yourself what you do to feel productive. See folks do activity. I'm gonna spell it FAUXDUCTIVITY. Many problems simply go away when ignored. Don't check email so much you don't need it, and if someone else can do it 80% as well as you, outsource or delegate it. This also makes sense. Like, I don't know, like 80-20 rule, gonna be there as well, but yeah, it is just the case. Like, we can outsource a lot of tasks, and often the reason for why a lot of businesses or a lot of people are not outsourcing things is because they don't trust in other people, and or they think they're not able to do it as well as they are able to do it. Like, of course, there's going to be some sort of a learning curve for those people in the first place, and you're going to have to put in some time in the first place so that everything is working as well as you want it to. But I don't know, like, if you're having a business and a company with other people, then I guess it would never be, it would never work out as if you would be every employee, I guess. Because you have to adapt to those people. Like, I don't know, just give them equity, like 50% each, and of course they're then gonna work way harder on it. On the other hand as well, like, if the discussion would be about hard workers and why people don't work hard in your business and whatnot, like, yeah, they're not having any equity, so why would they? Like, nobody's actually working just as hard on somebody else's thing as on their own thing, I guess, at least, just unless your own thing is just really something that you're not passionate about, and the other thing is something you're passionate about. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of variables, like a lot of times in life. But I gotta have to say, this is gonna be the end of the episode. I'm not going through another Quora question, but I gotta have to say that this has been one of the best episodes that I've ever recorded from a advice perspective on. Like, there's so much in it. Like, every minute is packed with something that I believe is worthwhile listening to, which is amazing. I do hope that the recording is well. It would really be fucked now, if the recording just was shitty and whatnot, and something was, I don't know, something was bad, like the quality of the audio and and those things, but I guess not. But yeah, I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered, which basically is your legacy, which is your legacy. Which, for example, means being nice and then being remembered as a nice person, which is something that can happen, which is something that will happen. But you gotta have to think about the fact that we're 7.7 billion on this planet, nearly 8 billion, and there's gotta be someone, maybe 2, maybe even 10 or 100 people that dislike you or even hate you. This is just something that I want to point out. And 3 other questions that I hope that you're going to ask yourself are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? And those 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose in life and maybe even some business ideas. Especially the last one, like what is bothering you the most? What is not working? What is not being fixed yet? Like we have been talking about it before. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. So please subscribe, and please subscribe to the podcast as well if you've liked it. Also rate everything if you've liked it, and just hit me up on social media if you want to. You can ask yourself some questions, and I'm gonna answer them, of course. But yeah, I'm gonna see you the next time. Hopefully, at least.